Welcome to Create, Connect, and Shine, where we encourage everyone to create an idea, connect with your community, and let your light shine. And as always, never dim your light to let others shine. Shine together.
So thank you so much for joining Create, Connect, and Shine, where we encourage everyone to create an idea, connect with your community, and let your light shine. And tonight I have the pleasure of interviewing none other than Mr. Barak Amen himself. He is a comedian, entrepreneur, and just overall businessman. So thank you for Barak for joining. I'm sure the listeners want to know who you are and why you make people laugh.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Well, thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for having me out. Like you said, my name is Barak Amen. I am also an entrepreneur. I'm a comedian here in the Tampa Bay area. A lot of people do know me from my comedy career. But what a lot of people don't know is my passion for business and my passion to give back. So it's a lot of layers, but the Bay Area really just knows the comedy side of me. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Our history goes back somewhat of 10 years is when we met?
10, maybe 11.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I think it was at Tampa Improv, right? Ybor City?
Tampa Improv. I think it was Neo Nerd. Crystal with an E. Yeah, Crystal with an E was doing Neo Nerd. Yep.
Yes. And it's funny, I interviewed her and we talked about kind of the first time we were able to connect was on her platform when she was doing the spoken word events. So it's been a minute. So this is a long time coming. I remember telling you, hey, I got this grand idea that I want to interview people and talk about their stories. And you were like, go for it. And then here we are 10 years later, finally getting it off the ground. So the name Barak Amen, I'm sure you get a lot of flack because we had a president named Barak. And was there ever a time when people called you Mr. President or tried to make fun of you?
All the time. It's an old joke, man. But yeah, all the time. And it's my name's not even spelled the same. There's no C in my name, but everybody always wants to spell it with the C. I mean, it's pronounced the same, but it's the way it's spelled in the Bible, the book of Judges, chapters 4 and 5.
Yeah, I remember in church, I think, I can't remember the name of the song, but the words go, Barak, hallelujah, Shabbat. Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
And so when I saw your name, I'm like, oh, that's biblical. That's biblical. So Mr. Barak Amen, not the president.
Not the president, yeah. Yeah. You'd be surprised, man, how much stuff I got, man, from people who feel a certain way about our former president. But just because my name, man, I get so much. Sometimes it's pushback, sometimes people love it, but it just depends on, I guess, who I'm in front of.
Yeah, you hear that a lot about his presidency and what he did and did not do for the Black community in particular.
Right.
And so I always wonder, prior to him coming into office and the transfer of power, there were 8 years of work being done, whether it was in our favor as Americans or not in our favor. And I guess the expectation was not only is he the first Black American president, but he was supposed to be in some way, shape, or form like our savior to fix all the problems in the Black community. What do you think about that?
I agree. I think we were expecting Obama to do for us what Trump did for his following. We thought Obama was going to come in and say, all right, everybody, all right, tear stuff up, but it didn't happen, and we saw where a lot of ways, his hands was tied with a lot of the things he could do. But there's only so much that the president can do without backing. And I think he did everything that he could. We saw him get pushed back tooth and nail on everything. So, I mean, of course, I think there could have been more things that could have been done, but I also saw that there was a lot that his hands was tied on. So
I agree. I know the Senate and other parties, had a real good time of telling him no,
Right.
But one of the things that he did get accomplished was the Health Care Reform Act. And I think it's benefited a lot of Americans who didn't have health care, who now have it. and who are no longer subject to pre-existing conditions, waiting 2 years just to use your insurance for a condition you might have had and possibly died from in the process, right? So
Right.
he did something right. But going back to your journey on becoming a comedian, how did that all happen for you? Because I know a lot of people think that making other people laugh is hard, you know, and I'm not funny. So my hat
Yeah.
goes off to people that can make other people laugh. How did that happen for you?
I mean, it is difficult. It's not an easy job. But for me, I've always been a class clown. So just making people laugh has always come second nature. But how I actually got into stand-up comedy was I was on a cruise with my wife. And they had an open mic portion on the cruise, and they were looking for people to come and participate. And they said, "Hey, if you win, give us 5 solid minutes of clean comedy. If you win, we'll give you this champagne bottle." And she was like, "Hey, you know, you make me laugh all the time. You're funny. You should do this." And I was like, "Man, I don't know. I don't know these people. I don't want to get up in front of these people and embarrass myself." And I looked at her, and she kind of gave me the look like, "Man, we having fun." And I was like, you know what, you're right. I don't know these people. So I downed my drink. I drank my whole drink. It took me a couple minutes to come up with something clean and funny to talk about for 5 minutes. I went up there and I killed it. I won. They gave me that bottle. I actually signed it, and I have it in my collection now. It used to be on top of my fridge. You know, Black people love collecting empty liquor bottles on top of their fridge and countertop. But this is a full bottle of champagne. I signed it, and it was dated 2009. I think it was maybe even 2008. I think. So I've had that bottle ever since. It's been a keepsake, but it's because of her. It's because of my wife. I actually got into comedy. So, I mean, I actually used to be a little bit more serious than I am now. She used to always tell me that I should lighten up, you know, and be a little bit more funny, be a little bit more laid back. So, I'd say it's all because of her.
Oh, nice. So your wife was partly your inspiration behind
Mm-hmm.
getting out there and getting on stage. That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's
and my biggest support system. I would say she's definitely my biggest support system, my biggest fan.
Mm-hmm. And you definitely need that, especially in the comedic world, because sometimes it could be a hit or miss when you get on stage. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
But that confidence is key, getting up there to make people laugh. And
right.
I know you've worked with some movers and shakers in the comedy world, like Shuler King, who is viral. Every time I look up, he's
got a video.
Right.
Yeah.
So what has that been like working with him?
I mean, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, working with guys like him has just been amazing. I mean, I got a chance to tour. I think we did 7 shows back to back to back, which was the most amount of shows I'd ever done back to back. So that was an experience. And just just enjoying that comedic brotherhood. There's a lot of comedians or a lot of people who claim that they're comedians, but the actual true stand-up comedians are very rare, and it's even more rare that you meet solid individuals who aren't trying to hold secrets or keep tips or so-called the game from you. They're willing to share, and he's one of the guys. So he's definitely a good guy.
Nice.
And he's also really a mortician. His family actually really owns a funeral home. So he talks about that as true.
Yeah, I was so surprised when I had heard that he was a funeral home director. And I'm thinking, a comedian and a funeral home director, I'm sure he has all kind of material from stuff that he sees throughout the job,
Yeah.
So that is very interesting. But yeah, I got a chance to see one of you guys' show, and he is funny. And both of you guys have me rolling. Some of the things or events that I've been to that you posted and just have made people laugh out loud is the what was the spoken word event that you did?
Poetry and Punchlines.
Yes.
Yes.
Poetry and Punchlines down in Ybor City. And for anybody who's not been, you need to go whenever COVID is done.
Yeah, whenever the world opens back up, right?
Yeah. How do you recruit the poets? Because they've been awesome, and the comedians that are there. How do you go about recruiting those folks?
It just really goes back to who do I believe in, and not only who do I believe in, but who is a compliment to the brand. I take great pride in having a brand that I can stand behind, that people not only believe in, but people will speak up for the brand, that my brand will make it to places that my physical won't or hasn't or can't. So I'm very protective of my brand. So the people who I bring on the shows are people who I think will complement the brand and who have a good, solid quality brand themselves. Because we know there's a lot of entertainers who are funny, who are articulate, who are great. They have great wordplay, but if they don't necessarily mesh, you just got a gumbo of a show. You know, you've got people who do certain things, and that's not what I like. I like to create a certain environment or a certain chemistry when it comes to my show.
And speaking of brands, you have a brand. So tell us what that brand is and a little bit about how it came along.
Oh, you mean this?
Yes. And the other one I think is really interesting is I'm So Petty. Tell us about that.
Oh, you talking about this one?
Yes, that one.
Yeah. The I'm So Petty comedy tour and brand is just another way for me to relax. You know, comedy is an outlet for sometimes a lot of real life pain, a lot of real life occurrences. So for me to be able to step outside of my normal self and be able to just let it all out and just get on stage and be someone who I'm ordinarily not, to me that was the thing. You know, I wanted to be able to let it out, and everybody wanted to be petty, you know, and everybody wanted to go toe for toe or tit for tat with someone, but you didn't want to stoop to that level. So I thought, well, why not create a hashtag and merch that would allow people to wear it to express how they feel, but still keep their job. You know, they can't necessarily be petty with that coworker or that boss, you know. So that was really what was my motivation, just being able to step outside of my normal suit and tie buttoned up self that people may see at Poetry and Punchlines and just, you know, be casual, t-shirt and jeans. And that's kind of the comparison between the two. When you talk about Poetry and Punchlines and the I'm So Petty comedy tour, you know, one is a little bit more classy, more mature, young and sophisticated, whereas the I'm So Petty comedy tour or brand is just laid back fun, just casual fun, and ignorance, should I say, ignorance.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. So what do you think it takes to be a true comedian? Because you were saying earlier, you know, a lot of people just get up there and they call themselves a comedian, but they're not really per se a comedian. Like, what characteristics do you need to have to be a comedian? Because you got to be able to take it as well as you give it, right?
That's true too. I mean, that's only a portion of it, but I would say you got to have a certain level of passion for the craft. You have to respect the craft also, because being a comedian, there's a lot on our shoulders. You know, we have to get up in front of a crowded room and make people laugh, regardless of what kind of day we're having. You know, we can have an off day, but they don't care about that. They come to laugh. They came to let down the words of their day, and they don't really care what you're going through. So you've got to get in there and make them laugh. You have to tuck whatever pain or whatever you're going through deep down inside and make the people laugh. When it's quiet and it's just you and the microphone, you can't hide behind a beat like you can if you're rapping. You can't hide behind music. You have to be funny, you know. And I think that's what a lot of people are not doing. They're not preparing. They think they can be conversationally funny with their family and friends, and they can translate it to getting on stage in front of a crowded room, and it's not. So I think, you know, just respecting the craft and wanting to perfect your craft, be the best comedian or that you can be, and not just a joke teller who is seeking, you know, the off factor, you know, and seeing who can say the most dirtiest, raunchiest thing. I think it just really comes down to, you know, what do you want the people to know you for?
That's good. That's good, because a lot of comedians do stand out for the type of storytelling they bring to the stage. And I think Dave Chappelle is one of them. Of course, you got Richard Pryor.
Right.
And then, you know, your more modern, I guess you could say, comedians, Jamie Foxx, and then Kevin Hart, and people like yourself and Shuler, all bring something unique and different and a certain style to the table. So that's good. That's good. Now, who would you say out of the comedians I kind of named inspired you to create your style? Like, who did you look to? Comedians of our day, like Eddie Murphy's of the world. Well,
honestly, I wouldn't say that I've ever fashioned my comedy style after any other comedian, because it's authentically who I am. You know, I talk a lot about my family. I talk a lot about my upbringing and my own experiences. So it's more my own personal, unique style, which is what pins it so great to my brand. But I would say maybe the comedian that first touched me as far as their standout comedy style would be Robin Harris. A lot of people remember him from Bebe's Kids. But I remember as a preteen, maybe a preteen, listening to one of Robin Harris's comedy albums, and he was the first I'd ever heard to actually have, and I'm not sure if this was his doing or if it was someone else's doing, they put instrumentals behind his comedy set. And I used to listen to it at night, long before I ever thought about doing comedy. But it always stuck with me. And then when he came out with the Bebe Kids movie, and when he was in a house party, it was like, oh, okay, this is the guy, you know. And if anybody ever had a chance to see him, you knew that he was just a down south, somebody's drunk uncle who happened to just be funny.
Right.
And that's who he was. You know, he didn't try to, you know, to change up his style or the way he spoke when he got around a certain audience. He was always himself. And that's what I try to do. I try to always be myself.
Now, I remember him on shows like Comic View, and you see some of the best comics that came out of Comic View. And I wish, to be honest, those shows were still around, because it not only gave them a platform, but it was something that you could look forward to on a weekly basis to make you laugh out loud. So, you know, some of the greats came out of that. Chris Tucker, what's another one? Let me see. Earthquake. Just so many.
You know, I want to cut you off a little bit. One of my most favorite comedians is Jim Carrey. Oh, yeah. And he didn't make it to the Def Comedy Jams or all of that, but he was on In Living Color. And he attributes his success to being on that show, but just his style. I would say Jim Carrey and Robin Williams, just their style of comedy, you know, not just looking at Black comedians, but just the comedic genius that it took to create all of those characters and voices. And as we all know, you know, most comics deal with some form of depression one way or another. And we saw that with Robin Williams. And we see a little bit of the creative evil genius in Jim Carrey. But I would say those two guys, and Dave Chappelle, and Dave Chappelle is right in there with them, are the guys that I would say are the true comedy geniuses. Just to be able to take some issues that are everyday pain and news headlines and turn it into a major dope comedy set.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that in the same respect, comedy is therapy. It's good for the soul. You know, I think that it walks you through some of the pain that you may be having, and it can give you the ability to deal with it in a different way than as opposed to just sitting in front of maybe a therapist and being sad or emotional. You can actually laugh and filter it out. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that's true.
So
that's true.
That's good. And Jim Carrey, oh my God, he is still to this day, as you mentioned, one of the funniest comedians that I've seen.
Right.
But you bring up a good point too about Black and white comedians, or just different races. Do you think there is equity and representation in comedy when it comes
of course, yeah. Because if it wasn't for comedians like Richard Pryor being able to break into the comedy arena and be himself, you know, it wouldn't have paved the way for other comedians to come and do the same. And if we don't see ourselves that hey, I could do this, or hey, I don't have to fit into that box, I think that would make the sport so bland, you know. And I say sport because it is a sport. And and from where I came from, I mean, I would say that I would be an example as well, starting out doing comedy as a Black guy with, at the time I had gold teeth and and a beard and tattoo. You don't typically see that. You know, a lot of comedians who want to make it to quote unquote mainstream, they feel they have to have a cookie cutter look. But I take pride in looking different than most of the other people, you know, especially now I'm starting to get this little lightning streak right here. This is new. So I don't really see any other comedians that's doing that right now.
And that's that wisdom right there.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Right. Right. So I know a lot of comedy shows that are local to the Tampa Bay area have been put on hold because of COVID-19 and this whole pandemic situation, and they're starting to make a comeback slowly but surely within the CDC guidelines. How has 2020 and COVID-19 and the pandemic impacted your ability to perform?
Oh man, it brought it to a screeching halt. Honestly, once everything got shut down, which is ironically enough, I had my birthday party. Friday, March 13th was the day that the world as we know it shut down, and also the day that we lost Breonna Taylor as well. So I wanted to say that. But that was it was, I mean, I'm not gonna say devastating, but it was tough, you know, not being able to get on the stage, not even being able to be around people. And the crazy thing about it is I don't like being around people. Like, I don't. I prefer to, you know, to sit in the back away from the lights and all of that. It just so happens that my profession is I'm on stage, but just not being able to be around people and feel safe or be comfortable. You know, everybody has to wear a mask. You know, you can't even go outside and raw dog the air no more. You got to have a face covering just to go in somewhere. You know, you got to protect yourself. So we can't even go anywhere where people can gather and have fun, especially let alone laughing with your mouth open, head back, you know, showing that missing tooth on the side. We can't do that no more. So it kind of set me into a hermit crab mode where I just had to recluse inside my shell and you know, wait for some sunlight to come out.
Yeah, I could see that it impacted so many different facets of our world, and a lot of things that we took for granted. You know what I mean? Like toilet paper. Who knew toilet paper was going to be the hot commodity?
Right.
And flying off the shelves, right?
Yeah.
That and hand sanitizer. I can't think of what else was just
some of everything. They left everything except for they took everything except for the vegan food. They left all the vegan food, all the healthy food was on the shelf. Everything else was gone.
Right. And they talk about vegan ain't processed. Vegan is just as processed, but we won't go there. We won't talk about the vegans. We love y'all. More power to the vegans. But going back to 2020 and all that it brung, there was a specific time, 8 minutes and 46 seconds, where the world, I felt, stood still. And everything that we have been talking about as Black, Indigenous people of color, and the issues that we have around racism and police brutality. Colin Kaepernick was talking about it, you know, prior to it even happening. What did that moment feel like for you?
Well, it's funny that you brought that up because I was kind of trying to stray away from where I was leading in my last comment or my last response. But it brought a reality to me because like I said it before, comedy has never been my end all be all dream. It's never been my, hey, I want to be the funniest comedian. I want to be the next Kevin Hart. It was just something that I was good at that, you know, someone I love told me, hey, I'm good at, let's try it. And I was successful at. But switching from that comedy mindset, from that go-lucky state of mind to, oh my gosh, we're only able to get 1 gallon of water per family. We're only able to get 1 pack of toilet tissue. Oh my God, they just killed the man on TV in front of us. Oh, they just killed another man. Oh, they just killed a woman in her home. So all of these things, and seeing all of this murder porn on social media, and people justifying a homicide of an unarmed Black person sent me into a different state of mind. It sent me into a state of mind of, okay, it's no joke now. It's time. Things are serious. Things are real right now. Let me prepare my family. Let me tell my family how we should defend ourselves, how to prepare ourselves against intruders, how to prepare ourselves against any attacks. Because just like the guy over in Clearwater, Mr. McLaughlin, how he got killed in front of his family, and just for defending his family of somebody who was standing and yelling in the car, something we all would do, something that I think any red-blooded American, no matter if they're white, Black, and I'm not gonna say red, purple, or blue, like, you know, some of our other, you know, people will say, but I think when it comes down to seeing all of this reality and this tragic, these tragic occurrences around us, it made me go into a very serious state of mind, you know, and it made me think about, okay, well, if something were to happen, would we be able to defend ourselves adequately? And if not, what do we need to do? So that was kind of that tweak in my mindset that kind of made me put that happy-go-lucky comedy mindset on the back burner and get into defense mode. Made me get into a mode of prepping my family for any incident that would occur.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I've had the conversation with my son, but in this case, I had to have a different conversation because I knew at some point he was going to see it. And it wasn't anything that I was trying to keep away from him, but I needed to make sure I put it into context the way he needs to understand it. And it's tough because he's only 12, right? Yeah. So what sense of innocence does he have? It's just chipping away at it. When we as Black folks have to have these conversations with our kids, and you have a son now, so I can only imagine your thought process around that. So what type of conversation are you going to have?
I mean, we're really, well, I mean, he's only 2 now, so he don't really understand. But for the rest of the family, the conversation started. The conversation started then. Once we saw that things were real, and we saw that a man can kneel on another man's neck for almost 9 minutes and take his life, and that the powers that be tell us that this man died of corona, that made me stop sugarcoating stuff. Stop sugarcoating, stop acting like it's not a reality out here. And I started telling them the truth. I started telling them the truth and telling them how it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's gonna be real life conversations that we're gonna have daily, because regardless of how he's gonna always be me and my wife's baby, somebody's gonna see him as a grown man. And I have to prepare him for that. And it just sucks that our children don't get to have that age of innocence like everyone else. They're always presumed guilty just for, I'm not even gonna say the color of their skin, for their culture. Just for the culture, they're presumed guilty. You know, how can you be guilty for wearing a piece of clothing that is mass manufactured and everyone wears it, but when it's on my Black skin, now it's a weapon, you know? So, I mean, those are the things I'm going to talk to him about. But I'm not gonna ask him to round his shoulders when he's in a room with other people who don't look like him. I want him to stand on his square, head high, shoulders square, and always present himself with confidence. No matter what we do, we walk into a room, we are always seen as a threat.
That's deep. You said his culture. You know, I've never heard it that way. Yeah. So, and we're always penalized for our culture. You know, Black women, when it comes to our hair, we just passed the Crown Act in 2020, 2019 to say, hey, you know, there's not going to be a problem if you decide to wear your hair the way it grows out of your scalp.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that the culture is definitely something that we're being taxed for. And I like the way you said that. But speaking about culture, when it comes to comedy, going back to comedy, do you think that there's a unique difference in the way that Black comedians present themselves versus white comedians or other races?
I'm gonna say in this day and age, this day and age where everybody is so soft and everybody is so offended by everything other than the death of Black bodies. I think there's definitely a difference, because Black people can't say what we see without having to apologize for it 3 or 4 years down the line. Whereas you have our white comedy cousins who can say and do anything. They can say anything racist under the sun and it's seen as a joke. Well, no, I'm gonna backtrack and take that back, because when they talk about the alphabet people, they're not going for it, no matter what color you are. You know, so it seems like that's the only line in the sand that's drawn, unless there's enough loss of money behind it. You know, if there is someone who's boycotted and they start to lose money, then they'll go on an apology tour. But other than that, I think as Black comedians, we have to dig a little bit harder to make our culture laugh. We don't just laugh at some of the dry comedy of some of our other comedy cousins, you know, because our pain is deeper. You ever seen Black people start laughing and they automatically start migrating while they laughing? You start laughing here, but you end up on the other side of the room laughing. You know, white people will give you a chuckle and they'll wait for the next joke. But us,
Right.
if it's funny, head back, we slap you on the back of the head, we're on the other side of the room because we
Right.
feel it a little bit more. You know, our pain is deeper, so our laughter is even deeper.
Right, right. That's real. And like you said, and we're a soulful people to begin with. So everything we
Exactly.
do has a level of soul to it. And like I said, comedy has been therapy for many of us. Even early on, I can remember being a kid wanting to laugh in a situation as a defense mechanism. And people say that's
Right.
not funny, but you know, sometimes you have to laugh to keep from crying. Um,
True.
as a child, what made you laugh, or who made you laugh?
um, I don't, I'm gonna say some of the elders used to make me laugh. I mean, I grew up around a lot of the elders. I was always the youngest child out of the bunch, the youngest kid in class. I was always mostly the youngest person in the room. So I was around a lot of the older people, and just some of the stuff they used to say. Some of their old gambling scriptures to me was just super funny. Like some of the stuff they used to say, the old black people used to say, people dying now that they never died before.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and you got to think about it like, but that's how it works. You know, you only die once. You know,
Right.
but yeah, it was just some of the stuff they used to say. Just some of those backcountry sayings to me was
Mhm.
just so funny. You know?
I think one for me was my grandma used to always say, or you know, I say I want something, and she say people in hell want ice water.
Right. Yeah.
How does that even work? Did somebody come back from hell and tell you that they want some ice water?
Right.
Was
Yeah.
that hot, you know? So that's funny. I could always remember being in church just finding jokes. Like we would sit back in the back row and look at people in church. And, you know, we had this one lady, she just made everybody laugh because she used to run around the church. And that was her form of praise. And to be honest
Right.
with you,
So
when I
y'all went to a
look,
saint. Y'all went to
right,
a holiness church because
right,
you
exactly.
only take your shoes and run around a holiness church. You can't do that at a Baptist church. They kick you out.
Right. But yeah, she ran and we used to laugh in church. And as I got older, I said, you know, I shouldn't have been laughing at her. That was her form of praise. But yeah, comedy has been interesting. You can find it in everything, everything.
That's true.
So
That's true.
I'm gonna switch lanes just a bit and play a game called On the Spot.
Okay.
All right. And you just tell me your answer and then you tell me why. All right, you ready?
Okay.
All right. So Eddie Murphy or Martin Lawrence?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Uh, I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say. Dang. I'm gonna say Martin Lawrence.
Martin
I'm gonna,
Lawrence?
I say Martin Lawrence only because he has been more connected to the comedy world.
Mm,
Whereas, you know, Eddie kind of after Raw and after his movie fame and all of that, he kind of stuck to movies. You know, he did the more mature movies, and he came back with the Dr. Doolittles and the Norbits, and you know, getting back to the PG-13 stuff. And Martin kind of stuck true to that. You know, he did the Martin Lawrence First Amendment. He did Def Comedy Jam, and what people don't realize is the platform that Martin gave people to be on Def Comedy Jam. Just giving people that opportunity to show their face and get their name out there created a lot of other stars. It created a lane for a lot of other comedians who ordinarily wouldn't have gotten it. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, Eddie Murphy is definitely a staple to the comedy world,
hmm
but I don't think he has done what Martin has done for the culture.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Yeah. Because I know Eddie, like you said, has made a lot of movies, but I can't remember the last time he's done any stand up. You know,
And don't Martin Lawrence got a black wife?
true. This is
So
true.
so black wives matter. So you know,
For the culture,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
All right. Red Fox or Richard Pryor?
Mm. I mean, that's a great matchup. I'm probably, and I love me some Red Fox, and God bless both of them, but I'm gonna say probably Richard Pryor. I mean, and only because Richard lived his pain in front of us. You know, he lived his pain untucked. He didn't hide it from us. We knew his bouts with drug addiction. He talked about, you know, the police brutality situation. You know, and a lot of his private stuff didn't really come out until after he had died, and people really just wanted to profit off of his pain. But I think that I would go with I would definitely go with
Richard.
Richard. Yeah, my bad.
No, you're good. You're good. All right, the last one: Jamie Foxx or Chris Tucker.
Jamie Foxx, and that's the easy one for me because Jamie is a triple threat. He is a singer, he's a comedian, an actor. He plays every instrument he could pick up. And to me, I think Chris Tucker was great in Friday. But after that, it really wasn't much to him. You know, I think with what's the movies he did with Jackie Chan?
Rush Hour.
Rush Hour. Yeah, I think the Rush Hour brand was, you know, it was a step up, you know, and we were glad to see him on that stage. But he just hasn't really kept constant with the comedy world, you know, and he doesn't really have enough in his arsenal for me to say that, you know, he would come out on top for that one. So
Yeah. I saw an interview with him the other day with T.I. on his show Expeditiously, and he was asking him about whether he'd do another Friday. He asked him first why he didn't, you know, continue the Friday legacy or sequels. And
right.
He said it was just time to move on, you know, and he said, well, would you do it again? And he said, you know, if the money was right, I guess, you know, he was kind of saying it without saying it. And the script was right, then he probably would consider it. And I kind of want to see a play up on the new School Friday and then the new comedians, because I'm thinking they're going to put people in there like what's your boy name? He's with
DC Young Fly.
Right, DC Young Fly.
But all he is, he's a great value. He's a great value version of Chris Tucker. So I mean, he's a carbon copy. What I would like to see is originality. I would like to see originality come back to the sport. I mean, all these people who are doing remakes of movies, sometimes you can't touch a remake, or an original, you know, like you can't do it. Like how they take Pac's vocals from unreleased songs and do them to a whole new song. Now it don't have that same feel. You know, like they could take a Whitney song and her voice will still be her voice, but if it's not that production that she agreed to, it's not going to have the same feel. So I think it's the same with these extra run-on sequels. Sometimes, you know, we got to leave it in where it was in our memory bank and our culture, and let's see what they can do new. It's a whole new time right now. Times have changed. You know, our viewing habits and needs are upgraded now. So let's see some new stuff. You know, I don't think we can keep pushing them to the past. Like, I'm interested to see what's going to happen with this Coming to America too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And I see they're trying to pay homage to Eddie and Arsenio Hall, but then they also have some new blood, you know, in the cast. So I'm excited about that. And I just hope, for the sake of the culture, that they bring it the same way they brought the first one.
Right.
For the new kids that are coming up. So I'm hopeful for that. And I think it's coming out. When is it coming out? 2021 or 2022? Was it this year?
I think it's this year.
Okay. So that'll be good. So speaking of like these new and upcoming comedians, and you being kind of a vet in the arena, what advice would you give to up and coming comedians, maybe local to Tampa Bay or anywhere?
I would say keep writing, write a dope set, trim the fat down, keep your punchlines as close together as possible. You want to have at least a punchline every 20 to 30 seconds. Don't think that you have to rely so much on curse words to be effective, and be yourself. Don't look for none of these comedians ahead of you to give you opportunities. Create your own opportunities and work. Don't think that you can come in to the comedy game this week and gonna start getting paid next week. If you don't bring value to the stage, or like the promoters say, put asses in the seats, don't think that you're gonna get paid. You got to earn your worth. Everybody had to pay their dues, but you have to find your own lane and your own way to do it.
That's good. And social media is playing a huge part in a lot of that, because now people are being booked based on how many followers you have. In addition to your talent, it's like, can we put people in the seats, as you mentioned? How many people are going to show up?
Yeah. I'm kind of on the fence with that. A lot of the social media comedians are only good when they can edit their material down. But when the promoters book them and pay them $5,000 and $6,000, they want to pay a local vet $40 and $50 or gas money to come out and carry the show. Like they'll have a name that gets people there, but at the end of the show, when that person's not funny or they can't live up to the hype, now they expect for the person who does this full time locally and depends on quality bookings to come in and work extra hard for pennies. So I mean, I'm kind of on the fence with that. True enough, it's a great lane, but I'm old school. I'm old school. I chase the laughter. I chase the stage. I can't get in front of a camera and be funny. I got to get in front of the people and be funny. I need that feedback and that love from the people.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. It's a whole different vibe when you're in person and you're on the stage. And I know a lot of people are doing things virtually. Kevin Hart just put out his show. I can't curse over it, but anyway, you know the one.
Right.
He's gotten so much backlash on, I guess, the content more so than the platform. You know what I mean? Because it came out on Netflix.
It did, but Kevin is a genius when it comes down to the business of comedy. That is one of the things that I've learned in my comedy career, is learning to enterprise around the comedy, learning how to create a platform from comedy that I can build a legacy off of and a legacy around. Like I can't continue to perform in my 80s and 90s like how you saw Dick Gregory or Pop. They basically worked themselves in the grave. I mean, they performed until the day they died, honestly. And with what Kevin is doing, he's got his hands in so many different things: movies, real estate. He's doing commercials. He's got sponsorship. I mean, those are the things that comedians should be looking at doing, which is a lot of, if you look back at my comedy career, a lot of what I did. Of course, I can't do it on Kevin's level, but what he did is genius. What he did was just being able to capitalize on the opportunities given to him was major. So even though we might have thought that, it wasn't that funny, he still made millions of dollars. I mean, millions of dollars. And true enough, he made it seem as though he was in his home, and he wasn't. Okay. But it's a movie. So, what are you supposed to do? You're gonna be the person to sit in a movie and say, "Oh, that's not real. They would never do that," But yeah, I think he's a genius with it. So
yeah, he has taken his platform and just made it evolve over time. And he has power now and influence. So he's
right.
They call sort of like a gatekeeper in a way.
Right.
And Nick Cannon, because Nick Cannon created Wild 'N Out. And he's had
Right.
some people on that stage who are now doing other things and being able to, get opportunities in other avenues. So it's important to do that. So I think in my spirit that I'm funny.
Okay. Okay. Tell me a joke then.
Okay. Y'all ready for my joke? Okay, here we go. Okay. So what did the ocean say to the other ocean?
What did the ocean say to the other ocean?
He didn't say nothing. He just waved. Yay! See? That's okay. Y'all not laughing. It's okay.
Yeah, no, that ain't
Oh, man. I had to get it in there. So, but comedy is definitely not my lane. I was just joking. I'm not. I'm too serious for that. But anyway, I, like I said, enjoy, making people laugh, and I've enjoyed being in the audience and laughing at you. as a comedian, but you are an entrepreneur. So tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial roles that you got going on now.
Okay. Well, I definitely have my own merch. Like you can see, I have my own T-shirt. I also have my own beard oil. I know you see my beard up here shining, looking like a dry S curl, but it's due to my premium beard oil, Barak Amen's premium beard oil. I just learned to enterprise around the comedy, just finding different things, listening to the people, and they'll tell you what they're interested in purchasing. So it just goes back to, my old long way back years of sales background. Just listen to the people tell you what they want. Also, I just started a bounce house business. We started a CPR company, doing CPR trainings and recertifications. We started a nonprofit called Father Figures. We focus on mentorship and transitional services. I believe that, children without fathers need to have that positive male role model, positive male figure in their life. And I say a masculine mentor, masculine male energy around these kids, because all of this soft men nowadays, we need masculine men. And I mean, that's it. Just my merch, my T-shirts, beard oils, and stuff. So I mean, that's about it.
Well, I definitely have seen your
Oh.
empire grow.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot travel agent.
Oh, and a travel agent. Okay.
Right.
So you're like a one-stop shop Renaissance man for the culture.
Exactly.
I feel that. I feel that. So with all that being said, and all of the avenues and all the things you got going on, what would you say you want your legacy to be for your
Oh
children?
man. Oh, my legacy. Honestly, I want my children to be my legacy. I want my children to be so positive and such influential individuals to the community, that it speaks to the hard work that I put in. The reason why I focus so much on expanding the brand and enterprising around the comedy and creating different legs of business is because I learned that I can't leave them comedy. I can't leave them jokes. I can't expect them to get on stage and tell jokes. I have to leave them something that they don't need to go and ask someone for a summer job in order to be able to put money in their pocket, that they can come and work in their family business. So I want my legacy to be my children. I want my children to be so successful that their children's children don't need to worry about filling out a FAFSA or going to beg someone for a summer job. I'm very big on independence and very big on creating my own lane. I just want to pass that down to them. So, the world and the people of the world are going to think whatever they want, but I just need my children to know, and to know what their daddy did, and to understand that it was all for their future.
That's good. That's good. And I think a lot of times parents don't create that clear path or that avenue for them to understand, hey, this is passed down to me and this is what I need to do with it, and giving them those next steps.
One thing that I have learned is that as an adult and as a parent, that our success oftentimes defeats our children, because we give them everything that we didn't have, and we give it to them. We don't require them to earn it. We give it to them. We want them to have the nicest shoes, and they're wearing Jordans, but never seen Jordan play a day in their life. So they don't understand the reason why we supported Jordan so much. But they have things now, and they feel that it's the things that make them. And we need to spread that importance, that it's them that makes the things. If you look at our culture, we make everyone else multimillionaires except for ourselves. So just like how we take our energy and go out and buy name brands and get those name brands visibility with our culture, if we did the same thing and we knew the importance of our purchase or our attention, we could harness that. And like we said, the kids are the future. I mean, Whitney said it, but it's true. You give a kid a cell phone, they can use it and figure stuff out that we didn't know, that we didn't even know our own phone could do. So I mean, they're the creative ones. They are the ones that have a certain level of creativity and curiosity, and they are the ones that we need to put things into their hands. Hey, what do you think about this? Because as we get older, we have the experience, but they're the ones that have that eye for the wave. They create the new waves.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because every time I turn around, it's something new, and there's a new app, there's a new technology that my son is plugging into, and those that are coming behind us are plugging into. So, like you said, they're definitely the future.
Exactly.
And we got to teach them the fundamentals, it sounds like, of how this works, right? So that's good. That's good. Well, I appreciate you joining me here on Create, Connect, and Shine. You could have been anywhere spending your time, but you were here with me. So I appreciate it. And for those that are watching, where can they find you online, your social media?
You can find me on Facebook, Barak Amen, Barak, last name Amen. You can also find me on Instagram at B_Amen. I am Twitter, Mr. Barak Amen. You can find me on YouTube, Barak Amen. I mean, that's it. I don't think I have anything else. I hear everybody's going crazy about some of these new social media apps and stuff. I can't keep up with it.
Yeah, man. I think the newest one is Clubhouse, where conversation. People are jumping into rooms, hearing audio of people having conversations. And I think they said the unique thing about it is there's people from all facets, you know, celebrities and so forth, just spreading knowledge. So I don't have an iPhone, so I can't jump on. I'm Team Android.
Me either. Team Android all day.
For sure. For sure. So thanks again. I look forward to things that you got going, maybe 2021 when the Rona is gone. We'll see what happens. Are you getting a vaccine?
Nah, I'm good on that. I'm an 80s baby, so we used to drink out the water hose. We'd be all right.
Right. I feel you. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I hope you take care. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Have a good one.
If some mountains have been moving in your life and you can't explain what's been going on, or you had a couple bills that you know you ain't had that money, but somehow, and you was able to watch Power one more Sunday without paying that bill,